All right, guys, right now I'm going to show you how to par cook, or as we call it, blanch, vegetables, okay? The purpose of this is to cook them about 90% of the way, or you can do it less depending what you're doing. But in restaurants, what we would do is we would cook the vegetables ahead of time, again, depending on what it was. We typically wouldn't do that with mushrooms or certain things, but like with green vegetables, we would. So the purpose of this is so that you can get a head start, so that when it comes time to prepare the food for serving it, it's much quicker. This doesn't affect the quality at all. It all boils down to how you do it. So I have a pot of boiling salted water. The way you tell if it's enough salt is you quickly dip your finger in there, taste it. It should taste like the ocean water. That's how much salt. Okay, I got my strainer here. And then I have a bowl of ice water with a colander. Okay, you should have enough ice in your water so it's not quite as much as a glass of ice water like you would get in a restaurant, but close. Okay, because the purpose of this is you need to stop the cooking process so you retain the proper doneness. Now, what the biggest mistake I see people make when par cooking vegetables is they don't have a big enough pot and enough water. So I have one bunch of asparagus, but I'm not going to cook it all at once because of the size. Ideally, what you want is, see, the water is still boiling. Okay, well, actually, it cooled down just a bit, but there's still plenty of convection. When it comes to green vegetables, you need to be much more careful. Because if you don't have very hot water, and if you don't have a very large amount of water to the ratio of vegetables, what happens is it'll cool the water down, it'll take longer to cook, and then you'll ruin the color. Okay? So with green vegetables, if you're par cooking them, you want to do it as fast as possible. Okay? So in other words, let's say, for example, if I have, for argument's sake, if I have 1 cup of green vegetables that I want to par cook, well, I'm going to have about 8 cups of water, if that gives you an idea. Now again, I know it's not a perfect world. Maybe some of you don't have big pots. So with anything, you do the best you can. Now this asparagus is very thin, and I like to have mine a little bit al dente, because I'm going to put this on the grill. Okay, see, nice beautiful green color right into the ice water. Okay, and there's no, there. So now we'll put the next batch in. See, the water's boiling. Okay, so you want to make sure the water's boiling. And it's very important too, if you're doing a lot of vegetables, at some point the water is going to get kind of gross, okay, kind of nasty. So you want to change it. Also, another thing too, very important, is the reason I have the colander here is because the biggest mistake I see people make a lot is they'll just dump their vegetables into the the ice water. And then that means you got to go fishing through all the ice to, you have to go fishing through all the ice to get the asparagus out. So, this is just much smarter. Now the asparagus is not far from done, and what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take it out as I normally would, but I'll also leave a few in there to overcook so you can see what it looks like when it's overcooked. Typically with many green vegetables, when you overcook them, especially with beans and asparagus, there's like this kind of slimy skin that starts coming off when they're overcooked. So we're almost there. Yeah, so I'll leave a few in there for you. Get off there. There we go. So that goes back in there. All right. Done. So we'll let those go for like another minute. And then remember, water is very bad actually water is very bad for most anything. Unless you have like a brine and that's different, or a marinade. Anytime I par cook vegetables, once I'm done, once I finish shocking them is the term for when you put it in ice water to stop the cooking process. I always put them in I put them on a tray, and I put a lint-free cloth on the bottom to catch any of the water. Okay, so let's take a look at these asparagus. Or is the plural form asparagi? I don't know. I'll keep those. Nope, not yet. We'll give it a little bit longer. Whenever you're grilling vegetables, this is very popular, of course, in the summer. I love grilled vegetables too. I find with certain things the texture changes if you go straight to grilling them from the raw state. Now, for things like carrots and asparagus and green beans, I always recommend par cooking them in water first because you'll get a much better texture, I think. And then plus, sometimes if your grill is not the right temperature, by the time it gets cooked, it's all crusty on the outside. If you start from the raw state, because obviously it takes longer to cook. You know, these asparagus are really small. I hope you can really see the... Okay, well, you can start to see it. I don't know if you can see that. It's like this. It starts peeling. It's kind of like... this sounds kind of gross, but it's kind of like how a skin peels on a sunburn. So that's it. So again, if your vegetables are fresh, okay, you can do this. Let's turn this off. If your vegetables are fresh, then you can do this ahead of time. Okay, this will be something. There's a lot of things you can do ahead, and a lot of people think that's cheating, or maybe it's not as good for the quality. If you start with very good quality to begin with, and you cook them properly, then they'll be fine for a day or even a couple days. But if it's something like a vinaigrette, you can make that a week in advance, unless it has some raw vegetables or something in it. But we have to do this to stay ahead in restaurants, because we wouldn't be able to keep up if we were cooking everything from scratch, a la minute, which means at the moment. So that's it. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day, night, morning, or wherever you are, hell. And I will see you soon.